Hello, you guys. Today we are going to learn about circles and circumference. So, this is a circle. Yay. I'm pretty sure you guys are all super solid with that. But I'm going to tell you about a guy named Archimedes who was a really super smart guy. And he was a Greek mathematician, physicist, engineer, and astronomer. And he liked to play with circles. And he discovered this really cool thing called pi. And it's this symbol that looks like this. And it's actually the ratio of the circumference over the diameter of a circle. And that sounds really exciting too, I know. So we have to have some basic orientation to our circle here. That is the center of the circle. So this center to the exterior or this the part of the circle would be the same distance, no matter whether you're going here or there or anything. That's our center. If you go from that center point out to the edge, that's called the radius. Okay? So the radius is rad, right? Think about the center of a wheel. You'd have these spokes, you'd have these rad spokes on your wheel. Well, there's another part of the circle that you need to know. If we go all the way across, this is called your diameter. Okay? So think about it. If you had a belt on this circle, it would be the diameter, right? Radius is only halfway across, the diameter stretches all the way across. Well, there's some cool relationships between those, and we'll talk about them in just a second, but I want you to think about all the way around the outside. This is called the circumference. Okay, so if you were to actually walk all the way around this circle, that would be the circumference. So, what we're saying is that the pi, for any size circle, whether it's enormous, like, I don't know, all the way around the equator, or tiny, like this little one here, if you were to take the measure of the circumference all the way around the circle over the diameter, it would always be equal to this 3.14. And it goes on and on and on forever. And some people memorize it. It's really cool. But it's kind of crazy. So if we were to stretch this out and measure around, and let's say this diameter here was, well, I don't know, let's say the diameter was 10, we would know the circumference would be 31.4 for this circle. And you could build that out for any circle. And in simplest form, if you took 31.4 divided by 10, it's always going to be 3.14 for any circle, which is pretty cool. So that's the big deal with pi. It's mind blowing, especially if you were Archimedes back in the era that he lived a long, long time ago. And he discovered, oh my goodness, for every circle, if we take the circumference divided by the diameter, it's always the same. Okay, so today we are going to be solving some problems using what we know about circles here. So we have to be super duper clear on our terminology. This is our center. Remember, it's the set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from the edge of the circle to the center point. So if we go from there to there, it's the same, there to there, it's the same. Okay, radius is halfway across the circle. Diameter is all the way across the circle. So if we were to write some formulas for this, we would say diameter is twice the radius, right? Or I'm going to write it out in words. Diameter equals 2 times the radius. And you can see that from this picture. Okay, if we were to stretch it all the way across this way, that would also be the diameter, right? Or we could say the radius is 1/2 of the diameter, right? I'm going to write it out too. Radius equals 1/2 of the diameter. Okay, so, oops, there's that. The radius is 1/2 the diameter. So real quick, radius is halfway across the circle, diameter is all the way across the circle, and the radius is 1/2 of the diameter, or we could say the diameter is 2 times the radius. All right, so let's do a couple practice problems using what we know about radius and diameter. Okay, so here is a problem. We have the diameter is 20 feet. What is the radius? Okay, and if you're thinking the radius is 1/2 of the diameter, you are exactly right. So we're going to say radius is equal to 1/2 of 20. So the radius here would be 10 feet. And it's a story problem, so we always, always, always label units, right? Okay, next one. Okay, here we have a circle and the radius is 7 meters. Find the diameter. Well, if you're thinking the diameter is 2 times the radius, you are correct. So we would say the diameter is 2 times 7, which equals 14 meters. So you just have to double it if you've got the radius and you want to find the diameter. Or if you know the diameter and you want to find the radius, you just chop it in half. Okay, now we have to talk about circumference. Okay, the cool thing is that the circumference is 2 pi r. Okay, 2 times 3.14 times the radius gives you the circumference. And I have a song for you.
What is the circumference of a circle?
Ooh, get out your 80s glasses. Here we go.
The circumference of a circle equals 2 times pi, 3.14 times the radius.
Okay, so it's 2 times 3.14 times the radius. There we go.
The circumference of a circle equals
2 times pi, 3.14 times the radius. There you go. What a great song, huh? Okay, so let's solve some circumference problems here. You are given the radius. Let's look at this one. Remember, it's circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius. Or we could say 2 times 3.14 times the radius. So if you are supposed to find the circumference of a circle, um, and you are told that the radius is 5, you are going to take 2 times 3.14 times 5. Now, I am not going to expect you to do all of this in your head, so you may get out your handy dandy calculator. And for these problems that you're going to find in the book, they're asking you to use 3.14 for pi. So you're going to say 2 times 3.14 times 5. And you end up with 31.4. And your original units were in inches, so you're going to say 31.4 inches. Okay? All right, so let's try one with diameter too, because if we go back to our original definition of circumference, it's also equal to pi times the diameter, because we know that 2 times the radius, right, twice the radius, is equal to the diameter. So if we know that the diameter is 10 here, we could figure out the circumference by saying 2 times the diameter, right? Which here is 10. Sorry, it's not 2 times that. It would just be pi times the diameter, right? So pi times the diameter, we would say 3.14 times 10, which would be equal to, we just moved decimal one place, 31.4. Okay, and we would have to look at our units. That was centimeters, it would be centimeters there. Okay, so do you guys see how we can solve for circumference? If we know the radius, right? 2 times pi times the radius gives us circumference, or if we know the diameter, it's just pi times the diameter. Okay, so there you go. That is how you are going to solve these. For the problems that you have in the book, please, please, please remember to just use 3.14. And yes, you have permission to use a calculator to solve these. Okay, so you are going to be also finding the perimeter of a semicircular region. Yes, I think you will have. I think you're going to have one or two of those. So I'm going to teach you how to do that too. Okay, this is the last little tidbit. If you have a semicircle is going to be, the outside part is going to be 1/2 of the circumference, right? So you're going to have 1/2 of the circumference plus the diameter. And that will give you the perimeter, right? Perimeter is like if you walk all the way around. So let's do this. Let's find the perimeter of this semicircle. The circumference, right, would be 2 times pi times r for the entire circle. But if we want half of that, we would divide by 2. So it would just be pi times the radius plus the diameter, right? So we have 3.14 times our radius, which here is 10, plus the diameter of our circle. So this would be 31.4 plus 10. So our entire perimeter of this semicircle is just going to be 41.4 centimeters, right? So you just have to think, "Oh, I know how to find the entire circumference of a circle. Here, I only have to find half of that, which is great. It's just pi times the radius. Ooh, but do you know what? I actually did this wrong. I actually should have multiplied by the radius, and here I multiplied by the diameter. Oh dear. Don't make that mistake. So we're going to say 3.14 times 5 plus 10. So if you got your calculator here, 3.14 times 5 is 15.7 plus 10. All right, and here we go. So 15.7 plus 10, so this would be 25.7 centimeters. So don't make that mistake that I did. You have to make sure you're using the radius here, okay, not the diameter. So make super duper certain that you are making sure you're using the radius to calculate circumference, or if you're using diameter, you'd have to take half of that, right? Okay, there you go. Sorry about that mistake, but hey, mistakes are to be inspected, respected, and we learn from them, okay? So good luck with this. You guys are going to be finding the radius and diameter and calculating circumference of circles. Thanks and good luck.